Not only did we reach the quota, but we went beyond, collecting twice the amount of what we needed. We got rewarded scales, and now we're getting ready to celebrate the big grand festival. So then, what's next for Salmon Run? Is this the last big run we'll ever get? And will our mass egg collection bring consequences in the near future? So first things first. Luckily, it seems this won't be the last we'll see of Big Run, as it will be a returning event, thanks to Oatmeal Dome on Twitter, stating there will be more Big Runs, as seen in some new dialogue that was added for Deep Cut announcements. The example given was for Undertow Spillway, going from, are they after the Splatlands, to they're after our turf again? So it seems we may see Big Run return in the future, but what I want to know is, will we be able to see this again? The global quota and the live counter. Honestly, this is probably the reason why this big run had to be the biggest and best of them all. Not only was it on a stage we've never seen before, but the incentive to work as hard as possible to reach the global quota is honestly what just kept me going. So why wouldn't it make a return? Well, we have to remember why the quota was added in the first place. In a gameplay stance, it was added because we're nearing the big finale of Splatoon 3, so why not add this cool feature for the last biggest run yet? But in universe, the quota was added as a special surprise, so where did Mr. Grizz get the idea for this quota? Well, according to the game, the Great Migration of the salmon used to happen once every 70 years, but about 2 years ago, it started happening all over. This is the 7th site, and what do you get if you add 7 zeros to 70? You get 700 million. So there you have it, I guess. That's the reason why we were given a quota by Grizzco this time around. It's kind of a callback to the Sunken Scrolls talking about the 7 rings and the pinkfish devouring all the creatures of the land and such. And it would make sense since the Grand Splatlands Bowl was the 7th site for Big Run, but not the 7th event due to Big Run taking that title. I don't think the Salmon are going to take over a new stage anytime soon, so without an 8th site and no other silly way of getting a large number, is it time to bid farewell to this new reward system? Nah, surely it isn't a one-time thing. The way the number was given was pretty silly, but you'd think that the devs could just roll out this feature every returning Big Run, just with a higher quota than the last, to really test the remaining players of Splatoon 3 after the updates are just over. Unless it really was a one-time event to celebrate Big Run and Grand Festival's tie-in event with one big Golden Egg Collectathon. Or just hear me out, just maybe it was an experiment for future use in upcoming titles for more involvement and incentive to play Salmon Run events, as I talked about in my previous video. But who really knows? I honestly hope it isn't the last time we'll see it. It would be a shame if it didn't return, but I've got a good feeling it's not long gone. Now let's move on to the story side of things and what the aftermath of our collectathon of golden eggs could take effect. Because what I'm wondering is if in any way or form this could affect the future of this game and the narrative in Salmon Run. 1.5 billion eggs is great for us since we got scales from it, but what happens to all those eggs? Where do they go? And is there a possibility we may have made the salmonid angrier? So first, let's talk about the whereabouts of the golden eggs. Luckily, we do get an answer, but it is pretty vague. Grizzco states, rest assured that we will find a good use for the golden eggs you collected. Now, the most obvious answer would be these are going straight to the Grand Festival since that's what we're here to do. Save it. Even Grizzco states the Grand Festival can now proceed with no expected impact to the fiscal year 24. I don't know, though. As we all remember, what Mr. Grizz used these golden eggs for was a bunch of fuzzy ink and spaceship shenanigans, but now that he's out of the picture, where does this new giant batch of eggs go to? If Grizzco really is under new management with Lil Judd, what is Lil Bro planning on doing with these? And what about the salmon? If we average out how many bosses were splatted during this previous big run, that's around 500 million boss salmon. And that's not even including all the lesser salmonid. I feel as if this were to come back in the future to bite us, we could go 2 different directions. This big run could have been such a huge hit to the salmon, so much so, it severely lowers their population and strength, giving the story a reason as to why there won't be that many huge big run events in the upcoming future, but with enough leeway to still bring them back every now and then. Or we don't see much change now, only until the next game entry reveals that they've come back for revenge as a much more primitive and aggressive salmon if past wins, or a much technologically advanced salmon if future wins. Or, you know, everything remains slightly the same if present wins. And I guess it's all kind of determined if past or future winning doesn't change the era of the next game and where it takes place. Which is still up to debate if that'll ever really happen. But it is a hill I am willing to die on. But that's a whole other conversation for another video. Because, I don't know. Maybe the Salmonid are just a warrior race ready and willing to die on the battlefield for an honorable death. So maybe there's no change at all. Considering that Salmon Run is always open now, there's always need for Grisco to call in employees to go to work. And we haven't even factored in all the previous Big Run golden eggs collected and Salmonid splatted. But maybe that's just their fate. They were designed to be a PvE enemy with an infinite amount of however many you need to play the game and create a narrative. Who even knows how many Salmonid outnumber the Inkfish by? It's just all game design. But I really hope someday in the future we get more narrative to Salmon Run. Maybe so much so that it affects the main story in a way. But I guess it's all just a matter of time to see what actually happens. But what do you think? Do you think the global quota will come back? And is this some way going to affect the storytelling of Splatoon in the future? This video is a little bit shorter than the ones I usually make, but I just really wanted to give a few thoughts on if there is going to be some kind of aftermath to this big, grand, big run that just happened. That's a mouthful, but I still have a lot of ideas that I'd like to talk about for the future of Salmon Run, but that's for another day to cover. But hey, if you enjoyed, why not like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified for future uploads. Grand Festival is soon, so gotta get ready for that and see who comes out the winner to actually talk about what may happen in the future or the past. But okay, thanks for watching. Goodbye for now. Goodbye.